Okay. Uh, Good morning, good evening, good day, everyone. Nice to see you. Nice to see that this many people has joined today. This meeting. It's great. So just wanted to give quick update after the meeting that we had 2 weeks ago. Um, so 2 weeks ago, it was more about just recapping what's happened in the DrupalCon and then creating a few next steps. And now we have set up the meeting on the initiative calendar, so you can see us there. I also updated the issue with key points that we have discussed in the DrupalCon, so that it's easy for the product management to see what we have been discussing. I will send a link for that on the Slack channel in case anyone is looking for that comment. So have everyone seen that comment so far? It would be nice to just make sure that we all agree on this, and it's like since it should be at least that all of the people that are working on the initiative that are agreeing on these steps. So feel free to express your thoughts.
I'm happy with them.
That's great.
Okay. The thing that David is asking about if that talking about a thing that is going only to be used in the experimental profile installation. If it excludes it from using from the new default theme, are we all agree with that also? I mean, I didn't even think about that it just completely excluded from the default theme, like the default installation profile. I'm explaining. Am I explaining? Okay.
So I guess one of the thoughts about that's it would be good to be specific about that on the experimental installation profile. So what we have, I think what we discussed in Barcelona, that it wouldn't necessarily be called experimental profile. It would be called something like farmers market demonstration or something that represents the use case and explains what it's doing. And then we would tell in other ways that it's experimental so that people who are installing their site using that would understand that it's an experimental profile that they are installing. And therefore, I believe if we create a farmers market demonstration installation profile, it could be the standard installation profile. We wouldn't just call it standard installation profile at any point. It would be just one of the main options that you could choose while installing Drupal. It would be equally standard as something else. And so most likely, we could have a standard installation profile, which is more like minimal. It doesn't do anything. It doesn't demonstrate Drupal at all. It is just installation profile to install some of the blocks and some of the content types that are most commonly used. Or we could even remove the standard installation profile if we only want people to install their sites using minimal or the farmers market example. But I think there is also a valid concern, which is about like, are we willing to not have a theme in Drupal core that represents the Drupal brand somehow. Like, I guess that is the bigger concern about this. Am I correct?
Totally.
Yeah.
Yeah, for me, it's exactly that.
And it's like Angie, when I talked with her about this, like she mentioned, one of the things she mentioned was that all of the books are using the Drupal standard theme on the screenshots, and that's also one of the things that we have to consider. Like, will it be a problem if it's not a Bartik, if it's something else? Yeah, and will it be a problem if our theme changes slightly more often than it's used to change? Yeah, it's a very, very valid concern. So maybe it would be a good idea to write down a little bit more detailed explanation of that issue, so that everyone, like, I'm sure that the product management understands the problem from that, but I don't think everyone else understands the problem. So it might make sense to write a little bit more detailed comment about what is that issue and ask for feedback from other people also. Yeah.
Yeah, because for me, for example, I don't need that specified to start this initiative about the new theme. But probably there will be some people that will need to know it. Or
Yeah.
maybe not need to know, but it will be good thing to explain.
Yeah, I mean, I agree that it's not a blocker for this initiative to proceed. Like, we can still have a team that is demonstrating a real use case in Drupal core, even though it wouldn't be the default theme. But the problem that I see in this is if we don't manage to fix that problem, that Drupal looks old on many of the installations that people do using Drupal. I'm not sure if the initiative is that relative anymore, like if it's relevant anymore for fixing the problem, like if it fixes the problem as well as it should. Yeah, so that's a very concerning, and I guess we need some feedback on that. But I think we can still, it doesn't have to be a blocker, because we can still have a team that is demonstrating a real use case. But again, then we might need to have, like I've asked on my comment, that if we should have maybe more teams at once. So maybe we would need, even to start with this, we would need to have multiple teams.
Yeah, because for example, what you were saying about removing, for example, a standard and having only minimal, then minimal will be use only start, right?
Yeah. Yeah, so you have either the option of that I'm starting to create a site for a customer where you can either use a custom installation profile or use a minimal, and you will build everything from the scratch. Or you are newcoming user and you want to see a demonstration of Drupal, and you want to start changing things instead of just building everything from the scratch, which is way easier. I guess, again, so a relevant question is, what are the different user stories for Drupal? Like, what all different user personas do we have to accommodate with this? Like, if there's something outside of these user personas that I'm not aware of, yeah, it's difficult to prepare for them.
Yeah, so if we had just the demo site, and we were expecting people to actually use that to build off of, then we would need that way for people to remove the demo content. if there's not an interim profile that's actually meant for people who aren't developers.
Well, actually,
You were cutting out a little bit. Could you repeat? I think I could hear now.
Okay, let me cut off my video. So I was just saying, if we had just the demo as an installation profile and we were expecting people to build off of it, then we would need a way for them to remove the demo content, like site builders building off of it.
I don't think so. I mean, for right now, on the standard profile, we already have well, it's not, there's no content created, but we already have the basic page and the articles. I mean, there's still some configuration already there. We also have the message for the front-end page, for the home page, sorry. So,
Oh, is it me who is cutting out?
Yes, well, nobody's cutting out for me, so I don't know where's the problem, but...
Okay, so I couldn't hear the last part of that. If you heard that, could someone work it?
from me or from?
Yeah, anyone who heard the last part.
From who?
From Emily.
Okay, she's asking if we should add a way to remove the default content created.
Oh yeah, I think that's a very good question, and that's a relevant question that the default content initiative have to figure out. And it was a question that was already raised, so they are aware of that already. But it's a very good point.
Yeah, I don't think that we would need a way to remove the default content if it's just meant for demo purposes. My only concern is if we were removing standard, then now anyone who is intending to use Drupal that way, they would be working with the demo installation profile. So then I feel like we would need a way to, we would have to have a way to remove it.
Yeah, it's so what I think about standard is that it doesn't really represent standard itself. It's just standard. It tells it's the standard of installing Drupal. And for that reason, it's not a good name for installation profile, because we are making an assumption that this is the standard for everyone to install based on this. And for that reason, we might need to remove standard and provide something else. So let's say we could have another installation profile called plain or starter kit or something like that, which would be more what standard does. So that it installs a theme, it installs some modules, something between the demonstration and the minimal, so that it's easier for a little bit more advanced users to get started. So they don't have to start from minimal, which is like very, very broken when you install, because there's nothing.
And what design will use it?
Yeah, like, would it be Bartik still? Would it use something else, or would it use this? And that's a very, very good question.
I mean, I think we could just say to people that maybe this process that we are starting for the demo, we could do the same again for the minimal or the standard. Once it's been, the current one, it's already been implemented, so we can test the process and to see that if it's working, then just do it again for a minimal, not a minimal, but something like the standard.
Yeah, yeah. The new standard profile, kind of like the replacement installation profile for standard, the name version.
Yeah. After having this demo profile, first,
Yes.
so we can test the process and start the new way to add new themes in Core.
Yeah.
I don't know, just an idea.
Yeah, I think that's a good point, that we don't necessarily have to solve all the problems at once. But I think it's good to keep in mind that the track record from the past of creating new teams haven't been very great, very successful, so that we might have to create a plan that there is no new team being added to Drupal core in the next 2 years after this one. Or next 1 year. Next 2 years probably sounds a little bit more.
I definitely feel like the demo use case is the most important one.
Yeah, and it's like, so there's also the thing that if the expectations for the standard installation profiles would be right, like if the expectation is that we are not demonstrating Drupal in any way, we are just installing you some modules that people most commonly use, then like it doesn't really matter what it looks like or what it feels like. But right now the problem with standard is that it's the installation profile that the new people or the people who are evaluating Drupal would be installing, and their expectation would be that we want to give them the good experience to demonstrate Drupal in every possible way, and it's not really built for that. So I think it's a valid point also that the new installation profile that is the purpose is purely to demonstrate has the most important value for this.
Yeah, I agree.
Yeah. Also, if we would want to build something that's perfect, then it's a framework that would take years again. People would never agree on anything, and
yeah,
it's just a mess.
Yeah, and I think there's lots of problems on the framework way of thinking as the default theme of Drupal. And for that reason, I believe we shouldn't go for that. I guess the biggest problem is that it's very, very slow to build something like that. And because of other CMSs are inventing quickly these new ways to demonstrate their systems, we couldn't keep up to date if we have to also keep up with these high standards of creating a framework for people building sites. And I also see that there is a missed opportunity because lots of people seem to be installing Drupal using Bartik on their personal blogs, and some of them are not super popular, but still attract quite a lot of visitors. And if we could create a framework team that really well represents that Drupal is modern, and people would every time they visit all of those sites would think that this is Drupal site and it's great. It would be great. It would be like the best thing ever, probably for us. Very good marketing. But I don't think it's realistic at this point to think that we could build something like that, because it takes a lot of effort. It's very complicated. So I see that there is value in having a team that is a framework, and we shouldn't undermine that. But I see that it's not realistic to be able to build something like that or to maintain something like that at this point, at least. A very polished process of how we do these things. Maybe we could reconsider the possibility. But not at this point, at least.
Then as well. Is the design of the new team then going to be designed for the new sample content, or is it going to be designed as a kind of a general purpose new look that the sample content can fit into?
Yeah, so at the moment, the plan is that it's going to be designed for a specific use case that the default content represents. proposed to be the farmers market. So we'll be designing a site for farmers market then.
Okay, yeah.
And that makes the designing work a lot easier because of we kind of have an idea what we are building instead of just building something. So it should make the design work a lot easier for us.
Yeah.
Is there anything else that we want to discuss about this comment?
Not for me.
I think there was so I think the action point of this is that we need to write a little bit longer, a little bit more detailed comment about this issue, so everyone can understand what it's about.
Yeah.
Then there was the other comment about Cosmic Dreams, about removing the teams from Drupal core. I don't think we discussed this at all, so I only commented with my own point of view on that. And the proposal was just that we wouldn't remove the teams from during a major release cycle, but we would instead just hide them from the UI. So if anyone has it enabled on their site, they could still run it. But if they want to install it from the UI, they wouldn't be able to do so. Does that sound sensible?
Yes, but what if someone wants to uninstall the theme rather than just...
So it will be visible on the enabled themes if it's enabled on your site. So they can uninstall it. But if
So
they
uninstall it remains enabled, or it remains on the appearance page. And if it's not enabled, it won't show up on the appearance page once it's disappeared, let's say.
disabled.
Yeah.
Then it's gone from there.
That sounds
And you
good.
can still enable it using Drush, or if you have existing configuration that enables the theme, that would be possible.
Yeah, yeah.
But you wouldn't be able to install it from the UI anymore. Or there wouldn't be any installation profile installing it anymore. So that we limit the new users. We don't use it for demonstration purposes for new users anymore. Everyone else is fine with that approach?
Yeah, I think it has a lot of sense.
Yeah, that's good.
Yeah, I think it needs to stay in core first for sense of backwards compatibility, but it does not need to be used at all.
Yeah.
That's basically it.
Yeah. Is there any other issues at this point that we want to discuss? So what I know is that the product management is having a meeting today, and they might be looking at this issue, hopefully. Fingers crossed. They're looking at this issue today and giving some direction for us. But is there any other concerns or thoughts that you want to express at this point?
In the last meeting, you talked about the briefing, right?
Yes.
And did you finish, or did you plan, or did you
So
start
about the
any document?
So about the briefing, I haven't started anything about the briefing yet, since the briefing is highly dependent on what are we going to build.
Yeah.
And we haven't still had any feedback about the idea of this new approach for the core team, that we won't be branding Drupal, but we are instead building it on a specific use case and so on. So there's still a high risk that the plan is going to change. So right after we get any direction from the product management, like what are their thoughts about this new approach, I think we can start working on the briefing.
Okay.
Yeah.
That was all.
All I did this week was just sum up the discussion points on the issue so that it's easier for them to discuss this. Yeah. So I guess that's our meeting from today. If no one else has any comments at this point, thanks everyone for coming. It was very useful again. See you in 2 weeks.
Okay, glad to made it to the end. Sorry. So yeah, this
Yeah.
evening is the first product management meeting, right? So I'm hoping this experimental install profile and sample content and new core theme will make it for discussion today.
Okay, great. I just wanted to ask you, did you see my comment on the issue?
I think you posted the last comment with some of the specific questions for product management, right?
Yes.
Yes, I saw it. I was going to refer to it.
Did it cover at least most of the things that we have?
Yes. Yes.
Good. Good. That is the most important.
Yes.
So good luck with that. Let's hope that
yes. Thank
something
you.
happens.
Yes.
Yeah.
Let's hope so.
Yeah. So there was one very, very relevant issue that we discussed on this call earlier. It might be worth that we still quickly discuss with this, that at least I try to talk with you about this. If anyone else feels like going, since we are now repeating a little bit what we discussed earlier, you can feel free to leave. But so we discussed earlier a little bit about the problem that is there an issue that if in the future this would be the default theme, that there wouldn't be any theme that is built on top of the Drupal brand, which is the theme that is shown on the books and other places.
Mm-hmm.
Or could this possibly even eliminate this theme from being chosen as a new default theme of Drupal core? Then after that, we discussed about the installation profiles, that better standards should remain with the name standard, because maybe we shouldn't tell that this is a standard to install Drupal using this installation profile, but instead explain what it's used for. And then we would have the other installation profile, which is the demonstration installation profile. And we wouldn't draw a line which is necessarily, we would have, obviously we would have to set the default installation profile that is installed by Drush if we don't choose any installation profile. But on the UI, we don't have to necessarily tell which one is the default.
Yeah, I think this is related to the thought I was having earlier this week. Is I was just thinking about the experimental install profile and what it could be named. Isn't it really that we're kind of offering a tutorial? I mean, based on the assumption that we both have sample content and theme for the scenario in that sample content. It's almost like a tutorial, right?
Yeah.
And I guess what you're now saying is with this scenario, farmer market, and the theme specific to farmers market, what we'll have then is not a replacement for Bartik, right? As in, if Bartik is the current Drupal brand, we're not adding something that is a Drupal branded theme, because it's a farmers market branded theme.
Yeah. So is it the problem that if we don't have any Drupal branded theme in Drupal core, or is it the problem that we won't be modernized? I mean, if in the future, if we want to remove Bartik in Drupal core,
right?
Making an assumption that we don't want to have Bartik forever in Drupal core.
I think there's a middle point between minimal and the demo installation profile. At some point, there should be a middle point. I guess when it comes and how it comes, it should be addressed maybe in the future after this installation profile is finished or more completed. Or
So with our current setup, it's not feasible to make the case that this replaces Bartik, right? And it's
That's-
not like
I mean,
Go ahead.
Oh, I was just saying, yes, that's accurate.
yeah, and I agree with that also. And I think it's more like we have to make sure that we don't tell that something is the default. We should instead just tell what is the purpose of each of these things.
yes.
But one thing, because of the middle ground, the middle installation profile
Mhm.
isn't built for demonstrating Drupal. It is solely, the purpose is just simply that we have some things installed in Drupal, so it's a little bit more approachable than minimal.
Yeah,
But
it's
it's
still
not
it's the
built for
current
demonstrating.
it's the current empty shell still, right?
Yes. And it's like just so that we have some modules installed and like some content types installed and some
Yeah.
things that you most commonly need. Like, let's say 7 doesn't have any box if you install it with minimal, like local tasks or none of those things would work. Even the page title, well, is not placed if you install
Yes.
using minimal. So it's like
I
we
did
install
that
the things
once.
that everyone needs.
Yeah.
We install the things that everyone needs
Mhm.
when they install Drupal. So it could be even like essentials or something like that. And then
I think we are.
it doesn't matter what it looks like.
I think we are not allowed to remove Bartik anyway, and I don't think I think it's a different question whether we change
That's two things.
the use of Bartik, or so whether we use Bartik or not. I think it's a different question of whether we introduce a use case specific theme or not. Right? I think it's two different questions.
Yeah, it's
And
definitely
if we just leave Bartik as is, and for the standard profile to use Bartik, that's fine. And then later on, if we have enough resources, or if we have the inclination or whatever, we can introduce a theme for similar branding purposes like Bartik is, which would be different from a use case specific theme. And then there would be a replacement for Bartik, and then we can start not using Bartik and using something else, but we still need to keep Bartik until Drupal 9. So
yeah. I think
Yeah.
that's about what I pointed. We don't have to know necessarily what will happen for Bartik, and we won't be able to remove it from Drupal 8 anyway because of the BC concerns. But I believe the reason why we discuss about this is to make sure that we have common understanding what is the place in the product for this new design. What will it be? What is the place, and what is it considered to be? And for that reason, we are discussing what is the placement of Bartik in the future, and what is the placement of this new design in the future.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I think it's as Gabor said, it's like there are two separate things, and what we're now proposing is not a proposal to replace Bartik, but it's a proposal to improve the first-time user experience of Drupal by providing sample content with a
Yeah.
specific theme. And if we learn from that and it's successful, or we change it until it's successful, that could have impact on how we design the new Bartik and maybe what content types are in the essential or standard install profile. But
Yeah.
yeah, that's a Drupal 9 story.
Yeah, and that's I think that's a very very good point to be made for the product management, that we are not trying to replace something in Drupal core. We are instead trying to create something new, and maybe that lowers the concerns.
Yeah, it's a new
And-
layer, right? There's minimal, there's standard, and then maybe this is tutorial or demo or whatever. Yeah.
Yeah, and yeah, it could be an advantage even for us that we are not
Yes,
trying to
it's-
replace
it's-
anything. It's like we have the power to define ourselves what is the standard for building this design and this theme, like because we can tell that this is the tutorial theme, we don't need to support
All the
right
things.
sidebar.
Yes.
All the things. Because this is not a framework. This is just built for this one use case of demonstrating Drupal.
Yeah. Yeah, and that makes this more contained, more isolated, more a clearer scope. So I think it could be to our advantage here. Yes.
Yes. And that has been one of the biggest concerns so far on the project management that I've heard, the scope.
Yes.
Yeah. And what if the goals are a little bit ambitious?
Yeah, and if it works, it opens the path for new themes in the future, but not now.
Yeah.
Okay, do we need any last-minute updates to the idea then?
I will make update
today
for the issue based on the discussion we had today, because it's a slight change on the right direction. So I believe it's fair that we update on the issue.
Good.
Just that we are not proposing to create a new default theme, but instead a new theme.
Yes.
Yeah. So at this point, any other things that we want to discuss? I think this was very useful. Good timing also, because if we get the product management to discuss this today, I guess.
Gabor, you were in yesterday's UX meeting, I think?
Yeah, that didn't actually happen.
Okay.
The morning one.
No, not this morning. Tuesday's meeting where I asked for this. Was it discussed which UX items to discuss in the framework product management meeting? Did you get to that?
No, we did not have time for that now.
Oh, okay. Check. Thanks. All right.
Okay, so let's put thumbs up for today, because
Yes.
if they don't discuss today, it's for sure that we can say that it won't happen for 8.3.
All right. Some pressure. Good.
Yeah, some pressure. Yeah.
Okay.
Good luck and have a nice evening /day/night.
All right.
Same
Thanks
for
all.
you.
Yes.
Bye-bye.
Bye.
Bye.
//